Hey guys, I'm Kate, welcome back to my channel, and in this vlog you're going to see me begin the revision process on Project Death. Now I'm calling it Draft 4 because Draft 3 wasn't like particularly substantial. The changes between Draft 2 and Draft 3 were a lot because I just, at Draft 3, was not ready to make the changes that the story needed. It's kind of like the kill your darlings, and I couldn't kill them. Even though it's called Project Death and there's lots of killing, I couldn't kill them. But now I'm ready. And so my first step this time was to completely re-outline my project before I reread it. And I think that's in part because I didn't want to fall back in love with my darlings. I basically just didn't want to make the same mistake that I did in Draft 3. So in this vlog, you're going to see me re-outline, and I just want you to note that this re-outline is done entirely from my memory, having not worked on it in ages, but I think that's really going to aid me ultimately in fixing it. So really the back half, the back 2/3 is what I needed to like kill off some characters, not in story, but just in my heart, and then wrap up storylines so that they merged better than they were doing, if that makes sense. So without further ado, let me take you to the beginning of the process. So for a while, I'm just going to be working in this notes section here as I attempt to re-outline my document. That is step 1 in my revision plan. And I think my main goal today is to do quote unquote the timeline stuff, and then I want to attempt to do all of the characters and where they're at later. Yes, we'll see. But first, come on girls, good job. Void cat, hello, are you hiding? Okay, I'm realizing since I do want to have a timeline aspect that I want to create one in Campfire Blaze. So I will have the like bullet point timeline features here, and I'll have like the full extensive re-outline in Scrivener. Hooray! Okay, a little bit of my cappuccino left. And the other NaNoWRIMO mug that I have, I am on stream, so, but muted. I now have about 1,154 words in the re-outline notes. And actually what I did is I had set up a save the cat section, like I was gonna make it, oh, I've been spotted. I was gonna make it its own thing, but instead what I decided to do is in the re-outline document itself, I think I'm just going to switch the colors, and I'm going to put in the save the cat notes, especially like the midpoint and the reversals and that stuff that I sometimes don't think about, that I still really like from Save the Cat. So anyways, that's the plan. We'll see how many words I get up to. And then I'm thinking of starting my reread, even though the actual outline might not yet be at the however many thousand words I thought it was going to be. There are, however, some questions I have that I wasn't expecting. Namely, as they wrap up at the end, I don't know how I want to do that. Because basically, the house is going to wrap up with the royal family in a way that at least Tuovi isn't expecting. Perhaps the reader might start to suspect at the end. And of course the house at a certain point is assigning her to kill people in the royal family. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic. But where I'm struggling right now is ultimately I have some more questions on exactly how I want to do it, and I don't know if that's something that I should probably figure out now if I can, or if it's something where kind of like the headlights writer, I mean that's at the 80%, 85% mark in the story. By the time I get there, I could always re-outline again if I needed to, if I felt that that's what I needed in order to finish the story, right? So, okay. vlog for now. File and save. My main focus is the Project Death re-outline. I'm at the point that I need to use Save the Cat. On the first sprint, I think I'm going to wrap up where all the conclusions should be for the house, the various members of the royal family, my main character, and then actually even some people who are out in the sticks. So once I do that, I will use Save the Cat and mix that in with the rest of my outline. And then it'll just be filling in some of the parts where I had questions. Like this bit toward the end here. Hello everyone! Okay, I'm muted. We're in the middle of a new sprint and I am at, you know, I put All Is Lost on the screen, but in between the All Is Lost and the Bad Guys Close In, I have more information filled in already, but I think I still need like a shorter little synopsis for it. Basically the problem that I'm having is that eventually all of these forces need to converge, right? So my main character can kill with no repercussion, which we don't really understand because everyone else, if you kill someone else, you will be taken by death. You can trade names to death, but the rules seem not to apply to her for some reason. But also, this is a very dangerous power because, you know, she's gonna work for the house, which are these assassins who trick death, but they still can't really do what she's doing. So they would love to have her. The royal family would eventually love to have her, but both of these entities are like kind of shitty in their own way, sort of like all the other power dynamics in the world. So basically exploring like Spider-Man's theme, with great power comes great responsibility. And my main character, Twilby, has to question the own power that she has and how she uses it. And it becomes harder and harder as the stakes increase. But they all need to converge with Twilby's ultimate decision at the end. And it's just getting them to converge that's the interesting part, that I don't know that I have completely down and what a lot of the questions are about. So again though, if it's that 80% mark, then I could just figure that out when I get there. I have unfortunately confused people with the muting on the vlog. Okay, I'll stop for now and I'll try to get to the rest of this. $1,844. You can see I've searched this before. I absolutely love and cannot recommend enough Lizelle's video on breaking down the fun and games. So anyways, I'm going to listen to that in order to help me with the bits in here. So I went back and figured out what was missing. It's just going to be how to integrate it. And I literally put, need to watch Lizelle's video. Let us do that with sound.
Doing a craft.
And now we are done. More or less done. I do want to make a point, emphasize a point about how much I love Lizelle's video. She really takes you step by step and I cannot recommend it enough. And even though I wouldn't say that I was particularly having a problem with the fun and games, what helped me was that, you know, when something messes up kind of early on and then that means all the rest of this is kind of messed up. So basically, I realized something was wrong when I got to like that 85% mark and I needed to wrap stuff up in the outline and it like wasn't wanting to wrap up neatly, which meant then I knew I had a problem sooner. So that's why I went backwards to the fun and games portion of the story. And what really helped me in the video was the reminder about trying to get like half of your subplots kind of wrapped up at the midpoint. And now Lizelle makes the point in her video that not all stories are going to work that way, but that like phrase just dug into my brain, and I actually went back to the outline and made sure to point out when certain plot points would be wrapped up. And because a lot of this novel is about who you can and can't trust, both with secrets, with your name, with like the weird power dynamics of the capital and all this stuff, it really helped me to know that my main character, more or less 2 of these subplots are going to be wrapped up, and she will have a couple people she trusts moving from the midpoint on, and that's going to be so necessary as we get into the kind of back half where we're storming the castle and we're doing all sorts of other stuff. So yes, let's see. Actually, I will bring you with me. Let us see. I ended the whole outline with 2,183 words. And I said before how this is going to be a living, breathing document for me. So I'm going to be adding in during my reread process more notes and more information back into the outline, stuff that I want to keep, but also stuff that might have fit in one point earlier or later in the story, and now in this new draft is going to fit in somewhere or be completely removed or whatever else, you know? So this is only going to get bigger. I did a lot of rough plot points, and so I'm just excited to see how juicy we can make this thing before I begin the rewrite itself. The other thing I want to do during the reread is I got about yay much done in terms of the timeline plot points. And I stopped just after the midpoint in this timeline. So originally I stated that step 1 was re-outline, which I'm going to go ahead and consider checked off because step 2 is the reread and step 3 is the re-outline based off of the reread. Yes, so this kind of part before I begin the rewrite is a little bit murky, but I'm very excited to see where I end up in total on this bad boy. Both in terms of word count, but also like plot points and beats I feel like I need to hit. I think I did a better job of including the emotional arcs of the side characters that aren't 2OV in this time as well, and integrating in what I had learned from the short stories that I wrote. So there's a little bit of things that I'm interested in. I need to build the backstory of one character a little bit more, I can tell, but I actually want to tie it to another character that I think would be cool. So we're gonna see how practical that is once I reread and re-outline again, but I'm really excited. As always, the question is going to be, once I attempt to implement these changes in the rewrite, will it be a struggle, and will I only realize then that it can't work? But for right now, a lot of it's really making sense and clicking in my head, and I do feel like I took those things that I'd been marinating on and put them onto the page. So I'm just so hopeful. But please do comment down below. Let me know how you tend to re-outline or how often your outline changes. I really love the term headlights writer. We were talking about that on the Twitch streams. And so that's in theory someone who can, you know, outline 3 chapters, 4 chapters, 5 chapters ahead, and then once they get to the next point, they kind of add to the outline as they go, so they're kind of moving in tandem with it, always knowing just a little bit ahead of where they're currently at, which I think is really cool. But I'd love to know your experience with re-outlining in particular, whether you're a pantser, a plotter, or whatever, when you move from first, second draft to then trying to make these kind of concrete changes. How do you go about that? Especially if you have things where you need to like remove a character or something like that, or remove whole scenes that preceding scenes sort of depend on. Like, yes, how many times do you have to go over that re-outline to make sure that everything checks out again? But that is gonna be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you especially to some of my new patrons this month: Amanda Lee, Kaylina Sabella, Laramie Briscoe, Crystal Joy, and Natasha. And I'll see y'all all very soon with a new video. Bye. Blah, 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 talking. A few seconds. Yes. Who knows?